All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are starting at long last the highly anticipated Dante protagonist swap. Now that Mangler's, spent half his life fortune on a guidebook, we are now ready to begin.
Why do you have to tell me that every time?
Listen,
I never should have told you how much I paid for that.
listen.
That was my mistake.
It was gonna come out eventually. It was going to happen. But at any rate, so yes, we are starting Dante through the events of Bayonetta 1. We'll go through Bayonetta 2, and given the release schedule for these, we'll probably be able to do Bayonetta 3 at some point relatively soon in the future, given that, unless it gets delayed again. Um,
Yeah.
no,
It'll be it'll be pretty simple to I guess set these things up. We start his journey with Dante finally getting out of Nintendo's,
lobby.
lobby because he was stuck there for like, I don't know, like three protagonist swaps,
So, three.
lagging in and out.
Hang on. We've done, did we do two for Bayonetta already in God of War? Or have we just done four for Kratos? No.
We've done Bayonetta. Okay, so we've done Bayo in Ascension, Chains of Olympus, and
Right.
God of War 1. Yep.
Did we do Chains of
We did
Olympus?
Kratos
I
all the way to.
completely forgot the Chains of Olympus one.
I'll have to go back and look at them in order to see which one we do
I
next because
remember
I
I
can't
did not
remember
have
the
a lot to say
Bayo.
on Chains of Olympus.
It was very quick. Uh, but yeah, we're finally here. So
You want?
obviously this is wait, what?
So do you want to set up the Dante scenario, like what's going on with Dante first before we begin, or are we just gonna go straight into it?
Let's I can swap packages. We gotta talk about that first. So obviously, as per this is a protagonist swap. Dante, as the person who's being swapped, gets access to packages that allow him to exist in the verse. This technically means he needs to be like put at the level, the stats line, and dimensionality and level of power that Bayonetta herself exists within. So he's technically getting a pretty hard nerf to his like stats here so that he can exist within like Bayo's position. But he also does get some benefits because he gets like Bayo's like typical like resistances. Um oh wait, I don't know if he's really gonna need those.
I was gonna say yeah, because he might have already had those to begin with.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Just to clarify as well, the heavy nerf is under the current standards for Bayonetta scaling. I know somewhere out there in the ether, there's this group of people trying to argue for like 11D Bayonetta and stuff. We're not factoring that in, and it wouldn't really matter if you do believe that, because Dante would just be on that level anyways.
It wouldn't it hasn't been substantiated yet. That's what we're saying. Like
Oh man, look
so
at
we're
me
going
being so
with
neutral.
like that's not neutral. It just hasn't been or that's not neutral. It just hasn't been substantiated.
Look
So,
at you, beacon of
my god.
optimism.
Okay, so currently this is a different kind of situation with the protagonist swap because unlike the other ones, like where we took Dante out of like we just yeeted him out of the DMC universe and just chucked Kratos in his position. Like Dante doesn't actually have to be in the story for it to happen. I mean, you could put in there, but you can have Virgil and still have other things happen in the story. The story still moves along. Whereas like Bayo kind of needs to be in Bayonetta for the story to happen because she specifically has the left eye. So how we decided to reconcile this was that the left eye basically because initially, the characters in the show thought or the characters in the game thought that the left eye when they were investigating information about it was the jewel that was kept within her chest pocket. So what we'll just have happen is that the left eye attached itself to the red jewel, that physical object, and dropped where she was yeeted out of the Bayonetta verse, which is apparently somewhere near the vestibule. And that's where Dante will spawn in, and he'll just pick it up because he's fucking curious. He'll pick it up,
Hey,
and
free stuff.
then yeah, he'll pick it up while Enzo's also showing up in the graveyard. And essentially, all the angels, Jean, and everyone else will sense the presence of the left eye. Also, because they'll be coming there to investigate anyway, and they'll see Dante there in this place, and they will decide to like take it from him by force if necessary. Because obviously they're there to get the left eye because they have to revive Jubileus and Jean is under mental brainwashing from the
From Baldur.
what's it? Well, yeah, I'm trying to think of the Ithavoll company technically, but I know it's run by Baldur, but technically that is the faction that's leading the charge against
We can
the
just
Ithavoll company.
we can just say Paradiso if you want.
Yeah, Paradiso probably is a little bit better. Um,
Yeah.
so I guess Dante spawns in here. It's a little weird for Enzo, but it's not going to change anything about this scenario.
Well,
It
actually,
does.
I was gonna mention. I forgot to mention this. Are we gonna assume Enzo knows Dante, since technically in the concept art they do play cards with each other?
Look. So it's weird. Enzo is not going to know who Dante is, but technically Dante is going to know an Enzo that looks almost exactly like him, that sounds exactly
Are we
like
gonna
him.
say they know
and is
two
also-
people who look incredibly similar to each other?
No. So Enzo won't know him, but Dante will know an Enzo that looks exactly like him and acts almost exactly like him and has the same name and the same accent, and he'll be like, Enzo?
Oh yeah, that's totally not gonna be weird.
That's gonna be really fucking weird. Um, but we're also technically gonna have to give Dante the ability to enter purgatory. Otherwise, like if he doesn't, then he's basically gonna skip the entire game until the very end of it. Because while characters could fight him in the real world, like Umbran witches, lumen sages, even demons and like angels all enter Purgatorio to fight their battles, so he would just be ignoring them the entire game. There wouldn't even really be a protagonist swap because he would just be skipping the entire game. He
That's
wouldn't
not
be interacting with them.
entirely true, because they can interact with physical objects in Purgatorio. Like we literally see them tear apart John, or not fucking Luca's father.
I'm not saying they can't attack him from while they're in Purgatorio. I'm saying like he's not going to be interacting with them in that way, and it would just be like this weird fucking scenario where he'd be like swinging into Purgatorio and killing them, and then getting hit occasionally.
Why don't we just do it the way like the DMC reboot does, where Dante just appears in a random location and all of a sudden just gets dragged into Purgatorio?
You're gonna treat this like Limbo? No,
What makes more sense? He has a new stance and it's just like Purgatorio.
I mean, maybe he just picks
What
up
we
the
call
jewel,
the
which has
stance
the side of
walker?
the world, and it pulls him into Purgatorio for no explicable reason. It wouldn't be the first convoluted thing in Bayonetta.
Wow! Well, he just looks up to the sky and is just like Purgatorio walker.
The entire point of the protagonist swap is that elements of this are supposed to be contrived so that the scenario can happen.
We're gonna treat it like Limbo. Every time Bayonetta needs to go.
Why do you have to do that? Why can't he just enter it because he has the jewel?
Because how is he gonna activate? He's just gonna like touch and be like, "Hey, there's these things trying to hit me. I wish I could fight them." And the jewel's gonna be like, "Your wish is my command." And then she's, what's your fucking plan here?
I mean, if not, we could just have him like. I mean, he can enter and leave dimensions.
What do you have against the Limbo rules?
It's not against the Rimble rules. It's just not how Purgatorio functions. It'd be one thing if you're just like, oh, Dante will self-actualize and yeet himself into Purgatorio. It's like Purgatorio doesn't just reach out and grab you and chuck it into itself. It's not like a eating machine.
I guess we'll go with the self-actualization since you don't like Limbo.
Yeah, so after a couple attacks from the angels, he's gonna be like, all right, enough of this shit. Where is this? Well, technically, he can sense killer intent and things like that.
He would sense the. I mean, he can literally react to nothingness. He'll sense the angels, and then at some point he'll just be like, "I want to fight. I want to see them. Where are they?"
And then
someone will trusty beast heads.
Someone will explain to him at some point after he's finished killing the angels in the vestibule. Actually,
that, like, hang on. Rodin's there, right? We can just say like in the graveyard, Rodin like can tell Dante the demon, he's like, you got to enter something called Purgatorio to get in, and then Dante's just like,
how do I do that? Where's the instruction manual?
Give me halos for the answer.
I'm like, oh, what do I have to do to get halos? Like, kill the angels. I'm like, but you told me I had to get into Purgatorio to kill the angels. This is a revolving door of like nothing.
Oh please, Dante's not smart enough to realize that's a problem.
Like, fine. It's like, wait, you have to get a Purgatorio portal to get there. I'm like, really? Because it looks like I just killed them without it. But
okay. Well, you can't pick up the halo without seeing it. Now, can you?
Like, oh, hang on. That'll give me like 5 seconds.
Give me 5 seconds. They'll come up to me like red orbs. Don't worry. We'll get this done.
I got some powers from that weird statue in my home that gives me the ability to just grab things
Yeah,
at
yeah,
greater
because I
ranges.
have another guy who extorts me for millions of resources. I mean,
Uh,
that's basically just the first level. There's nothing really else to go into. Like
yeah,
Dante just fights. Either Rodin tells him how to get in the Purgatorio. He finds out Purgatorio in some way, enters Purgatorio,
he's
moves on after killing the
probably
angels.
well. So he technically has to finish so the vestibule actually has a second part, and he's after he saves Enzo from like
Oh right, highway
the
wreckage.
he has to drive onto the highway, in which Enzo at this point is going to kind of inform him what's going on, like what the situation is. And he's like, "Oh, I thought you were, someone else was supposed to meet me here. We were apparently looking for like a really impressive jewel on the market, which you apparently happen to have."
Look at me, already doing such a good
A
job.
colleague from a colleague of ours, um, not yours, but ours. And then Jean will show up with her little, you know,
Show up on the plane with her little tricks she uses, which time, which
yeah.
would technically work on Dante, and then Dante just like no.
Well, it would until it doesn't, because like technically Dante, if this is like DMC3, would have things like Quicksilver, which can cancel other forms of time manipulation,
Well,
and
I mean,
Quicksilver.
like, yeah, like it would cancel it out. But I'm saying, like, the first time she does it, Dante's probably not gonna be able to react to it because she would have already activated it. Like,
It
he'd be like
wouldn't. It
mid
wouldn't.
Quicksilver animation, so to speak, as she's attacking
It
him.
would. It wouldn't really matter. Like the Quicksilver that he can resist can work on beings that are normally like.
Resist? What boss battle did you fucking fight?
Well, I mean, like normal demons can resist time stops. Like Quicksilver is a improved time manipulation. It's advanced time
I mean,
manipulation.
so are we just gonna say that like which time just doesn't work on Dante? Period. Then. I mean, like that's not entirely unfounded, especially if you argue for which time being a speed boost and not actual time stop,
Well,
since there's that fucking
it is
test.
time. It is time manipulation, but it really only works if you get like the climax brace, which can allow it to work on beings that don't normally work. But Jean doesn't have the climax brace. That's an equipable item that only becomes available to Bayonetta after she buys it from Rodon's shop. So like the only way this would work is if like another Umbran Witch showed up during the battle, like Bayonetta, and then stacked her witch time on top of Jean's witch time.
Well,
But like
so
that, yeah,
are we treating which time as a speed boost, or are we treating which time as a time stop?
it's technically both. It's just it doesn't work on Dante. So so for in this scenario, she'll be faster than him, but the actual witch time thing is not really gonna like the actual like time stop is not gonna do anything to him.
So she speed
But he's
boosts.
just gonna be
So she blitzes Dante a little bit, fucks him up a little bit. Then Dante's just like,
like,
I'm gonna use Quicksilver.
well, she's not really going to fuck him up because she's there
I
to
mean,
kill angels and show off.
well, no, she does. I mean, so are we just gonna say she's not gonna fight Dante because Dante's not Bayonetta? Because I know she shows up to fight
No,
Bayonetta too, doesn't she?
she doesn't show up to fight Bayonetta until the second encounter because she fights her like I think like five. She encounters her like five times
I could have sworn they
in the
fought in
game.
cutscene.
They don't fight in the first one. What happens is that like she shows up, activates her witch time, and then you start comboing angels next to her at the same time, and the cutscene ends with you comboing, and then she disappears. So you kill angels together, basically. But she doesn't actually challenge you that time.
I could have sworn she like shoots you the first time she encounters you, or like she at least like fucking threatens you.
Not really that one. She threatens you the second time when she shows up on the motorcycle.
All right.
But
So
that's
regardless,
the end
no
of the
boss.
next.
Yeah. So
That's
regardless,
literally
no
the
boss
next
battle.
mission,
Okay. So they kill the angels.
and then just
Dante
leave.
will most likely have to use Quicksilver since they are on the plane, and he probably wants to kill them before the plane crashes.
Yeah.
Are we going
Um.
to say that the demonic energy will corrupt the angels, or are we just going to ignore that and move on?
Well, it kind of has to, not just because it does that in lore, but in Bayonetta's lore, demonic energy is actually extremely deadly to angels. That's directly stated in the Bazillion's descriptions.
So are you telling me
So,
this
like,
man just throws out Quicksilver and all angels just die of since?
they are literally going to be like, what the fuck?
It's like a
What
fucking
am I feeling?
like an
Everything
atom
is on
bomb just goes
fire.
up.
Every molecule in my body is screaming for release.
Please take me, sweet death. All right, so then
I forgot
basically,
about the bazillion's description.
so are you telling me every time this man even DTs or even like fucking uses any of his Mong power, Angel are just gonna be like, well, guess I'll die.
Anytime he uses a charge shot, even if it misses them as it's flying by their body, they're gonna be like, "Holy shit, I'm having a seizure."
This seems very unfair.
So then we have the Angels Metropolis, which is like chapter one. So that just basically starts with like Enzo giving like a dialogue or whatever, and that involves him like flying to Dante on a mission. Just got to treat it the same way he treats like any of his typical jobs. He's just being flown out to a specific location there to get his hands on the quote unquote the eyes of the world. Because keep in mind at this point, Enzo and technically Dante don't know what the eyes of the world are. He just knows there's some value in the jewel that he's carrying. He doesn't know that it's the eyes of the world or what the eyes of the world is.
Yes.
He'll figure it out later, but he doesn't currently know. So he's going there to investigate Vigrid. What are you saying, Sim?
I didn't say anything. I said yes. Did something. Was there some sound?
No, it's fine.
I'll say it might be the window outside. Some air is blowing in.
So when he goes through this area, we'll just have him like skip through the security checkpoints by either jumping into Purgatorio after talking to Rodon, because he also has a conversation with Rodon explaining how the cosmology works. And it's gonna be like, oh, this is nothing like the demon world. Like, yeah, Inferno's weird. And he'll be like, no, I said the demon world. Like, yeah, you're saying Inferno really weirdly there.
Just not getting along at this point because he's all like, stop interrupting me while I'm telling you the story. I'm telling you, you're saying it wrong.
Dude, this is what every single demon has told me my entire life. How can you tell me there's another name that I don't know?
Don't you lie to me. Are you even a real demon?
It's like, well, there's also Paradiso. I'm like, wait, Paradiso as in like heaven? Oh, there is no.
That one you recognize.
It's like, wait, isn't that just the demon world? I'm like, no, that's Inferno. I'm like, oh my god,
just
I'm out of
right
here.
Back in the circle.
Fuck this bar.
Yeah, so we go from here. Then we go through the first section, and we get to the statues, which I believe this is the first time we have that specific witch time statue, at least according to the wiki here.
Yes. So, if I recall correctly, you have to interact with it using it summons. What it does is that interacting with like various like witch time energies, or not, or the energies of like Umbra witches, specifically like their what is it called? The fucking magic energy causes it to shoot a lightning bolt down. That when you dodge, it will activate witch time, which will allow you to mess with stuff. So Dante will start realizing after examination, just like Bayonetta, that like this device that he's breaking, like, because you can break down the wall, it will just reform itself super quickly. So he'll just be like, oh, that's taking too much time, Quicksilver. So he'll just like, Dante will like, in every scenario where he has to deal with the witch statues, every scenario requires time to be slowed. So Dante will just realize, oh, I just need to stop time. I don't know why I keep running into these situations where I have to stop time, but like, whatever, Quicksilver, do your thing.
It's like, this seems like it's really important for something that's really simple.
But yeah, he'll go past that, and then he'll end up in the main like Vigrid locations in in Purgatorio, and he'll just fight a bunch of angels.
Oh.
Most of them are pretty basic, like
Rodon shows up again.
Demanding payment, and then Dante will tell him to fuck off, or be like, whatever.
Dante will be like, hey, Rodon, these demons are weird. Those are angels. They're not dropping blood orbs. They keep dropping these weird gold things.
Like, I feel like I'm playing Sonic. I'm like, I don't know what that is, but you better be getting me those halos.
Listen, I can give you weapons that are going to be good. Are you sure about that? I don't think we have the same opinion on what good is.
I'd just be like, man, I could craft some serious weapons, even crafted from Inferno, that could do great damage to these angels. I'm like, that just sounds like demonic weapons. I already have those.
You know what, Dante? Just hold on to all those halos. Just hold on to all of them, and I got this ticket you can buy later on. Just save them for that ticket, then, buddy. Okay.
Um, so then it gets to the flashback battle at the end of like verse 7, which is like at the very final like enemy encounter at the end of chapter 1, and he runs into Jean again.
Are we going to do the flashback battles, or are we just going to ignore those since Dante wouldn't have a
Well,
flashback?
he wouldn't have a flashback, but if he runs into an enemy that causes the flashback, he'll just skip straight to the boss fight with the enemy.
Okay.
So like, so he won't have a flashback with Jean, and Jean will be like interrogating him. It's like, what happened to my Umbran sister? And he's like, I don't know what an Umbran witch is. I'm sorry. Like, can I help you, lady, who's riding on the side of a motorcycle?
Listen, the last lady who did that shot me in the face. Can you not shoot me in the face?
Yeah, like I really, and that was rather recent. So can we not do this?
Yeah, so then he fights Fortudo, which is just
Whoa,
gonna be
whoa,
him.
whoa, whoa. No, that's like 3 missions later.
No, according to this, you fight a dragon in the flashback, which is Fortudo.
No, he wouldn't fight him because he wouldn't have a flashback.
Okay, so wait, so are we ignoring flashback boss battles then?
So he doesn't have these flashbacks.
Yeah.
I'm saying that he technically has a brief encounter with Jean in the cutscene because Jean is what causes another flashback. Like, so
Okay, so just to clarify, if a flashback has a boss battle, because Dante won't have the flashback, we're going to ignore that boss battle.
yes, unless there's a
Okay.
boss battle in cutscene or in gameplay,
Okay.
that's irrespective of that. So
Okay, yeah, because when you said we were going to the boss battle, I'm like, okay, that's a little weird, but I guess we're fighting Fortudo now.
there's like a scuffle between them in with Jean.
All right.
Uh, but yeah, she'll be like, "Oh, I don't know what kind of Umbran Witch or Lumen Sage you are, but like, you'll never match me with that level of power, whatever the hell." And then she'll just drive off.
It's like, oh no, another term. I have no idea what the fuck they're talking about.
And then at this point, he'll have to learn how to do like witch walking. But technically, for this scenario, he could just fly or jump to one of the platforms on the other side, because it's only like 40 feet away from where his current position is. He wouldn't have to wall walk to get over there. So Dante will just do that.
See, Dante has these
And
things
then
called wings. Maybe Bayonetta should try for. Oh wait, she does. She just can't fucking fly with them apparently.
he, technically, she had amnesia during this period of time, so it's not really fair.
Uh huh. Very convenient.
I was gonna say he can also just like Dante has shown that he can like run fast enough to accelerate himself across like gaps by jumping. So like he literally could, or he could just use Trickster midair. So
He actually guard flies the particles in the air.
and then the rest of Vigrid is just like running through a bunch of minor enemies until he gets to, well, yeah, I think he gets to Fortitude, the end. Like he does fall into a volcano at some point, but that's
Uh,
like
I'm seeing here
that.
you fight a beloved.
Beloved's nothing impressive.
Wow.
Oh, so he fights Fortitude at the end of like chapter 2, and I guess he just react to it by like stabbing it, essentially, uh, attacking it. I don't know what he would. So here's the thing: like Fortitude doesn't really have any resistances to any of Dante's like greater hacks. So if Dante stabs it, then he should be able to regen negate like anything in the any regeneration factor that Fortitude has. So he could deal like permanent damage consistently. Even if he's like not strong enough to kill him individually, which is not really true because Bayonetta at that point kills him like literally like 2 missions later, or
Not only
technically
that,
one
but
mission.
we also have to factor in the fact that apparently Dante's energy would just be poison to him.
Yeah, like it would just be deadly because the thing is that Dante's attacks are imbued with demonic energy, and not only that, like Rebellion is specifically stated to be a sword imbued with magical essence, which would just translate to it being demonic energy, and it's the physical manifestation of his demonic power.
So, I mean,
So
even if the angels were, let's say, stronger than Bayonetta at this point, for the most part, I don't think they ever are, but let's say that Dante would still just have literally a bypass to their durability since demonic energy would just be poison to them. Eventually, they'll just die from it.
yeah, and then well, he'll also probably like just like Bayonetta, he'll use his guns whenever Fortitude's at a distance, so he can just safely poison. Oh god, that feels so weird to say, because his
Move
abilities
over.
aren't poison; they
Move
just
over.
function as poison.
Move over Bayonetta's fucking bow and arrow. We have a real poison. So then,
Um,
do we just not like? So are we just gonna skip most of mission 2 then in 3? Because I mean, Dante most likely can probably just like kill Fortitude before he
he
actually
just,
causes the city on fire, right?
he's probably gonna kill Fortitude. Yeah,
So do
like
we even do
so
it?
the burning ground is probably not gonna happen because the reason the burning ground occurs is because Fortitude sets fire to the city with his powers. But if he's dead at the end of mission 2, then mission 3 doesn't. Well, I guess mission 3 happens. Just Dante walks through it at a normal pace and doesn't like, like I guess he fights most of the same enemy encounters. It just takes way less time because the city's not on fucking fire.
And then we basically
So,
skip mission 4 because he's already dead. This is
um,
this is a pretty good pretty good speed run here, Dante.
I will say that Luca's probably not going to show up. By the way, because Bayonetta's gone. Um, he'll still be investigating the Ithabal company, but like,
I mean, they would still technically interact with each other. Lucas shows up regardless in places Bayonetta doesn't show up in. I mean, like, it would just be vastly different interactions.
oh yeah. Um, so then we have the Lost Holy Ground. I'm trying to remember exactly how he gets there. Um,
Do you want me to very quickly look up like the start of chapter 5?
yeah, because like the thing with the Lost Holy Ground is that it's technically supposed to be a location that's like prohibited only to like Umbran witches and Lumen sages. Though even then, since it's a training ground for them, it's an area that's actually split between their two clans. So while there is like neutral ground in there, certain sections are reserved for the Umbran witches and the Lumen sages. So it's like Dante wouldn't really know that he would need to go there, you know?
It just
I mean,
shows
technically,
Bayonetta landing. So let me go back to chapter 4 real quickly.
technically, Dante just has to show up at the heart of Vigrid to get to the Ithaval company. That's all he has to do. Because Dante, keep in mind, like Dante's not suffering a memory loss like Bayonetta. That's most of the reason Bayonetta actually has a lot of these missions. It's because she's going to investigate things here and there.
Okay, so it looks like because the platforms were flowing up due to the battle with was it Fortitude? Or,
Fortitude,
yeah.
you know that boss that he kills 2 missions earlier.
Yeah, so they're in the sky. She sends them off to demons, and then she just falls into this location. So
Okay, so that's
we could
certainly
literally
going to
just
be a
say he
problem.
walks there.
I mean, I was going to say that might be a problem because he actually has to go to the Holy Grounds to find Cereza. So I guess Balder is just like, oh fuck, my plan didn't work because the actual Bayo is gone, and this
Well, okay, yeah, I was actually gonna say,
this white-haired loser just showed up.
Cereza's not really gonna work here because the reason Cereza worked in the original one is because she was able to witness the true world through her eyes, but also witness herself. And then when those two
Yes,
kind of coalesce, so it's like, do we just say that the eye of the
but
world works on its own, and like Balder? I mean, at some point, we'll probably just like,
Balder just needs it. That's the point. Like he just needs to get access to the jewel because the jewel is holding the red eye in this circumstance, or holding the red
yes.
eye.
So, do we go through the Holy Lands, or do we just like move on
I
to
mean,
the next relevant mission?
he can still go through the Holy Lands. He just wouldn't interact with Cereza. Uh, I guess
Oh
she
no.
would really just be left to die. That's a little dark, but like technically she would just be left to die because now she no longer has any relevance.
We will say that Luca found her and took her with him, just randomly out of nowhere. But Dante just walks through the Holy Lands, doesn't care, moves on with his day.
Yeah, so this means the Gates of Paradise level wouldn't happen because the reason he goes into the Gates of Paradise is to specifically chase Cereza. So he wouldn't just go into Paradiso. So he would realize that like, oh, after going here, I need to go to the Ithaval company on that island.
All
So
right. So
then
then,
Route 66 happens.
no,
So mission
no,
8,
no, no. You forgot one.
which is what?
Temperance.
Oh, the Temperance. I mean, I guess, but like,
What's wrong, Mangler?
Oh wait! I forgot. He technically had a fight with Jean. My bad. He
What?
actually fights Jean in what's it called? The Lost Holy Grounds. She shows
Uh,
up there again.
okay, so then Dante just beats her in a fight real quickly, or I guess stalemates her since they stalemate at this point, right?
Yeah. Well, so this kind of depends. Like, do you want to like if Dante has access to his physiology, he should be growing exponentially stronger than like Bayo. Like Bayo was growing stronger, not just because she was fighting, but mainly because she was recovering her powers. Whereas Dante in this circumstance still has all of his physiology, still has all of
I mean,
like
if you're gonna argue that, then we could look. Then yeah, he would just win then because by this point, even though he's barely fought anything, he would still have fought enough to be stronger than when he
he
was
would
when he
still
met her the first
he
time.
would still gain nothing but demonic power from inflicting pain on all the angels. And technically, he'd actually be exponentially stronger because all of the angels view his energy source as literal fucking poison.
Are you saying they're all in pain, and because they're all in pain, Dante's just walking around gaining miasma power?
Yes, actually, that's really silly, but it's technically true.
Allow me to stand still and outscale your verse. Okay, so he looks okay. So he beats her in a fight, but she escapes because he doesn't want to kill women. We'll say he glances at Temperance, and Temperance blows up.
I was gonna say, what's really funny about that is that, like, technically he's not sacrificing them to infernos; they just die.
We do not get many Temperances or many Fortunos later on. They no longer exist. Dante has just blinked them out of existence. And then we get to
And
route.
then
Oh,
66. So I guess he makes contact with Luke, or Luca just shows up and ambushes him out of nowhere, with answers about the eyes of the world, so that we can move the plot forward here.
sure as hell isn't coming
To which,
anywhere else.
yeah, and then I guess well, I'm trying to remember exactly how. So yeah, it just drives a vehicle to the island, and they essentially get into the same driving situation. Dante still kills all the angels on the route, moves on until we get to
Oh,
section.
wait. Does Dante live in Paradiso? Does Dante have to go to Paradiso?
I'm trying to remember how he gets there though.
Hang on, let me look it up real quickly.
Because he drives to the end of the highway, and then he ends up there somehow.
Only the finest memories and knowledge allowed.
Because like the problem I have with Bayonetta is remembering the beginning of very specific missions. The endings is
Okay,
not
hang on.
difficult,
So
but
it ends on a bridge fight, and then they just go into Paradiso. Like, as the bridge is falling, a portal opens to take them to Paradiso.
okay, so we'll just assume he is in Paradiso then. Yeah.
Okay, so Dante shows up and proceeds to literally just murder every angel just by existing in Paradiso.
Wait, hang on a minute. If he devil triggers inside of Paradiso, what happens to Paradiso then?
Okay, well, Paradiso would still be there, but every angel would basically just get to contract the black fucking plague.
I was gonna say because technically things like Quicksilver is a dimensional time rift, so it affects the time space you're located in, not just like everything within a 40-foot radius.
Dante encounters one angel. Oh no! I better Quicksilver every angel in Paradiso. I'm in danger.
This is like Witch Time, but like insanely painful
It's just like
for some reason.
it's like the fallout of a nuclear bomb, and every time Dante does anything that involves demonic power, every angel's just screaming in pain, and they just keep making it worse because every time they scream in pain, Dante just gets drunk.
I feel like halfway through this, we're gonna have to have like Rodin explain to him because he's gonna be like, "Hey, so why are they just like? Why is there so much screaming?"
This is
Are
going to
they-
be the in-canon answer for how the Rodin fight happens at the end of the game. This is how we are answering this in the protagonist swap. Dante has literally
like,
just been killing every angel in existence by just existing, and has proceeded to literally just get enough halos. This is how we're doing this. Brilliant.
then Rodin's like, "I'll give you the answer if you purchase this ticket."
Listen, buy this ticket for no particular reason. Please make my day. So Dante just
so
well, can Dante
yeah, then
even
he just
cross? Because you need to cross some. You actually need to cross over those angels on the those angel floats, right, to make it through this mission. Can he even cross those? Because they just keep dying.
there are angel like platforms.
Okay.
that are not made of angels, so he'd be fine. Like,
All right.
um,
All right. So,
I don't remember how does the Sea of Stars start exactly?
let me see this.
Much easier to run boss fights and like
Can we
things
just
like the Broken Sky.
recording right now? Yeah. Can we just say that they just kick him out of Paradiso? Like all of the angels just getting fucking murdered by Dante's energy. They just kick him out of Paradiso. Like,
I was gonna
please
say
leave.
it might make more sense at this point for the angels to do this because they realize like, oh my god, this man is a walking nuclear fallout. Somebody opened a portal in front of him, and then it just like he ends up in the area right before the Broken Sky, like in the area right before like because when they start the Broken Sky, they're at the boss fight section for the Cardinal Virtue of Justice, um,
You mean
which is in like
Prudence?
this or Prudence. Well, no, it's called Justice.
It says no. See a star.
Prudence is
Oh, okay, okay, yeah. Well, you said Broken Sky, so I skipped the Justice fight.
Prudence is gonna die
You mean
the
Justice?
same as the rest of them, or Justice. Yeah.
Dante doesn't even realize Justice is there. He accidentally quicksilvers and Justice just dies.
At this point, Dante's gonna be very bored because he'll have come here for like a fight, and then he just realizes that like he can't test out any of his weapons because the enemies have like cancer as soon as they touch them. Broken Sky happens. Jean shows up again halfway through the mission, and he's like, "Oh my god, you know what? I'm done with you." Just like kicks her off the plane.
Very respect. He respectfully kicks her off the plane.
The Cardinal Virtue of Prudence boss fight doesn't happen because technically Prudence shows up on the plane in the middle of the Broken Sky. We just have the boss fight because Jean kicks him off the plane, but Jean has been kicked off the plane already. Um, and Prudence only shows up there to specifically like
Dante gets bored and
um,
just DTs real quickly, and the area effect just kills Prudence.
well, I was gonna say like Prudence is actually only there to grill Jean because she's tired. He's tired of Jean interfering, as the rest of the cardinal virtues are. They're tired of Jean interfering with their attempts to get the left eye. Um, but like Jean wouldn't kick him off the thing because Jean's already been kicked off the plane at this point. So Prudence is just going to die like immediately.
Oh, yikes! Dang it!
Uh,
I forgot. I forgot the Discord was I forgot that the Discord was recorded. Dang it! I'll have to put something over that later. Don't mind me.
Yeah, and then we have the Isla de Sol. So Luca's going to show up randomly, inexplicably, with a helicopter, just like he does in game, and fly them there. So I'm kind of wondering how this is going to work out because Ithavold is canonically outfitted with a missile air defense system for some reason. It has a lot of weapons contracting, so the missiles are still going to be fired at the helicopter. It's not that Dante isn't like fast enough to react to them. I'm just thinking to myself like, is he just gonna like grab Luca, jump out of the helicopter, and then air hike off of a platform onto one of the missiles?
No, he's gonna leave Luca and do it.
So we're just gonna have Luca die.
Luca survives because Luca jumps out of the way in time.
Well, Luca technically does get put in like two or three circumstances in the series where it's implied that he dies, but then they're just like, no, not really.
All right, so he makes it to Isla Sol, beats Jean by slapping her across the face, and moves on with his day.
I feel like at this point he probably would have killed her, but this is DMC3 Dante. He's like kind of the nicest Dante there is.
DMC
So,
one or two Dante ain't putting up with none of this.
you know, like revenge quest, let's go.
All right, so then we
Power
get
to the truth.
to the tower. Dante clears the tower because nothing there can stop him, and eventually he'll just make it up. He'll fly up if he needs to. He makes it there eventually.
And then Boulder's like, all right, so none of my plans have gone according to plan due to your worthless ass, due to you meddling child.
But thankfully, you brought me the eye of the world. I don't want to give this to you. I'll give you
It's like, yeah,
money.
But hey, if you give that to me, I'll be able to give you a real battle.
I'm
And then
listening.
And then depending on Dante's answer, we might be able to get like an actual boss. We might just skip the Balder boss fight and go straight to Jubileus.
Dante's like, would you be that boss battle? No, no, I have something else in mind.
I have something spectacular, stupendous, and then he just points to the missiles and is like, "Oh wow, that's actually really interesting." So we can totally make an argument that Dante in character would let him very much be a Vegeta moment and let him resurrect Jubileus because he's extremely
He'll even help
overconfident.
Jubileus go into Paradiso. He will force it in there if it has to.
Like, hey, well, so what do you need to make this thing like strong? I'm like, well, I needed the cardinal virtues, but they're gone. I'm like, oh,
Sorry about
where
that.
else is he? It needs to be. It needs to be in Paradiso. Oh, that's no problem. Hang on one sec. Let me just open a portal real quick.
Listen. Just tell me what you need, please. I'm bored, and the only other person who I feel like I can fight wants to kill me because we disagree on the terminology of the demon world.
He's just like, you mean Inferno, right? And I'm like, just build your statue
Sorry,
before I change my
dude,
mind.
just points a gun at him. Just build the fucking statue.
And then so we get to see fully revived, fully resurrected Jubileus that never happens in the game because Dante just wants to see a fight. Um, I'm gonna be honest here. The only thing that I could maybe potentially argue could affect Dante is like the quantum manipulation, but like that's just better whole grain matter manipulation. I mean, it's really useful for being able to like
You mean
change
it's
the
diet
thing.
matter manipulation?
Well, so it's useful because it allows Jubileus to essentially like change your age back to a child.
Oh no. Whatever
But
will
like,
I do?
but I don't know if that would really work on Dante because Dante's power already transcends time in a linear scale. Like his power and well, not just his demonic energy in general can already be sent forward and backward in time with like raw
I
power.
mean, even if
So
it worked, like Bayonetta is capable of dodging attacks while a child, so we could just argue that like Dante would still be able to dodge
well,
attacks, or worst case
it's
scenario, he would just heal from them.
it's also a giant blue spinning projectile that's easily telegraphed and it's only inconvenient to jump over because you're in like this dome area running around as like a
Can
panther in gameplay.
Can Dante just royal guard it though?
I don't know about that, but like
Well, I mean, royal guard is a barrier.
he could just deflect it
He could.
or just dodge. Yeah, so Jubileus is gonna have the same problem here, except she's just gonna last like a little bit longer. But yeah, like every time Dante activates Quicksilver, hits her with an attack, she's basically gonna act like her skin is on fire, which is something that does actually happen to her later on. So, yeah. So for the epilogue, um, I guess Dante's gonna still swing, hit her, and then cause her to fall into the sun.
I mean,
Or
we can just
I
say
think that
Dante
her.
would actually kill her, since like
Yeah, I was gonna say. Go ahead.
the reason Bayonetta kicks him into the sun is because they just can't really kill Jubileus.
Yeah. Yeah, so like Dante's normal attack. Well, technically, like he already has forms of existence erasure with what like Virgil does to Beowulf and what demons can do to each other. So yeah, he'd be able to destroy your soul like pretty easily.
All right.
Um,
So
so yeah, the
we,
epilogue happens.
yes, we say Dante has an actual fight, and then just wins because even if he has an actual fight, Jubileus just doesn't really have any way to put Dante down, and eventually he'll just overpower her.
Yeah. And at this point, well, okay. What about Balder? Because he's not like wounded or anything. Does he just like land on the earth and? Because wait, if he destroys Balder the statue completely, Balder just dies.
Yeah, we'll just say Baldur's gone. We'll say Dante
Wait.
randomly sees this blue ghost try to escape Baldur and then just dies along with them and just
I was
moves
gonna
on.
say, wait a minute. I sense. Now that I thought about something, when Dante shows up at the tower for the first time, he'll be like, "Oh, so you're the mastermind behind this." I sense two souls inside your body for some reason.
Here, let me free that. Let me split those. I mean, if we do, then Balder just survives, and like we'll just say that Lopter makes the deal, and Lopter just tries to recreate Jubileus.
Well, that would be kind of funny because Balder, then Dante realizes Balder's trying to stop Aesir. It's like, no, I must contain your evil. And Dante's like, oh, this is interesting.
Oh,
Let this play out.
Dante just walks over casually behind Balder, pistol whips him to knock him out, and just waits for Jubileus to revive.
Like, I'll deal with you later.
And
You seem to
then
have a overly complicated situation going on.
it's like, listen, you should probably go talk to your family if you have one and let them know you're okay. I don't know if you have a daughter or anything, but maybe we should go try talking to them. Maybe that'll make you feel better.
Hopefully, she's not in another universe or something. That'd be crazy.
Yeah, I know that'd be silly. And then I guess Dante finally has all these halos and one
And
Dia halo.
talks to Rodon,
Talks
and
to
it's just like,
Rodon.
all right, man, what you got for me? Because I put up with all this time. I've been very patient. What is so important about this ticket? I'm like, well, follow me through this portal. Like, all right. And then we get, I guess, the Rodon fight, and he's like, oh, for the love of God.
We will say just for brevity's sake, since Dante would technically have one Dia halo at this point because he literally just killed Jubileus, that Rodon would actually be strong enough to fight Dante at this point because he would give him that halo as well. Because Rodon's actual ticket is weird, because apparently it's just that these are the amount of halos he needs to recover his original power. I believe that's the lore stamp behind it. Yes, Mangler?
Yes, it is. But yeah, Dante could canonically just steal the halo off of Jubileus's hair. Like, we'd just be like, hey, well, I don't want to really deal with this, so here's Jubileus's. Because at this point, he'd be taking Jubileus's fully revived form with her true halo.
Gives it to
So,
Rodon, and
it's
then
like, okay,
Rodon
this is
just proceeds to beat the shit out of Dante.
for
Eventually,
like
Dante wins, but
for
not
2 minutes.
for 2
For
minutes.
2 minutes, and then it's like, all right. That was pretty good. Thank you for the demonic power. Quicksilver.
Now done. I guess since Rodon's a demon, technically, like Quicksilver wouldn't like he wouldn't like just randomly die to miasma the way the other angels do, but Dante would just immediately just return the favor.
We just suffer the standard effect of Quicksilver instead of, like, all the other effects.
Are we
So
not
he's
just
still
gonna say
suffering.
Rodon ignores Quicksilver? Dante's like, I'll activate Quicksilver, worked on every other angel. Rodon ignores it, like, come run these hands.
I'm not affected by time manipulation. I'm like, well, okay. And then he would still suffer, like, madness manipulation and fear manipulation.
It's like,
Because Quicksilver is also demonic energy.
finally, someone who suffers the other effects for a change.
Like, how many effects do your abilities have? I'm like, I don't like talking about it.
And as soon as the fight's over, Dante puts Rebellion to his neck and says, say it. Call it by its
Say it.
real name.
Keep the world and I'll spare your life.
It's like, fine, it's the demon world. Now, was that so hard?
And the scenario ends later. Well, I guess. Well, does Jean ever get freed from her brainwashing? Technically, because she'd only be getting freed specifically because, like, she fought Bayonetta.
If Balder's still alive, we'll just say Balder releases John, and if not, we'll just say that she shows up to fight Dante again, and this time Dante like just slaps her some more, and it just breaks because the people who would be sustaining the brainwashing are gone anyways.
It's just like, hang on a minute, your mind's got something weird going on. Let me just stab you with rebellion real quick.
That seems rather dangerous. No, it's fine. It's fine.
No, it's actually quite effective. It solves most problems in life.
The only problem it doesn't solve is me, because I'm my biggest problem. I mean, just get some emo music playing in the background.
It doesn't solve my problems. It just makes me stronger for some reason.
Fucking bastard. Yeah, no, so, again, so with demonic energy being poisoned to angels, half those matchups don't even, like, apply, but again, even if we were to assume that didn't apply, Dante would just get stronger over the course of the series, over the course of the game, and keep in mind that if we put him in Bayonetta's position, Bayonetta's basically stronger than most creatures at the start of the game anyways. We don't actually get confirmed power bumps for her for the most part, except for, like, maybe her fights with Jean.
she's stronger than every person in that verse during Bayonetta 1, or at least she's stronger than the entire Bayonetta 1 cast with the exception of like Rodin, Jean, Balder and like Endgame Jubileus. But she becomes strong enough to fight those characters later on, and many of them have reasons for not wanting to kill her anyway. And that's also within like her arsenal, which keep in mind Dante has access to hacks and abilities that no one in her verse has ever resisted, and he's got like layered versions of them. So that's not going to turn out very well for any of those people. And if we were to talk about every single one of those win cons here, this video would be another hour long.
Yes. So the main ones to focus on is that if we put him in Bayonetta's position, he's already stronger than most of the enemies he'll fight anyways. And if not, he also is getting stronger over the course of all of his fights. So at some point he would just like probably the only person to be able to fight him legitimately, if at all, would just be the ones at the end, or maybe Fortitude. We could maybe say Dante hasn't gone that strong yet, but again, Bayonetta's already stronger than Fortitude, or at least strong enough to fight him by the time they encounter each other.
Yeah, just it's not gonna like. I would just say it's not gonna turn out well because even if he's weaker, all of his abilities would just hacks most of them into like an incapacitated state because most of these things are like fear manipulation or despair that just cause the person to stop moving and get glued to the spot. So like at that point, AP is not really relevant because he can just wipe you from existence or nullify your powers or like other things.
Yeah, there's not really
Itemize you.
there's not really a scenario here, unless of course we assume the Angel is just way stronger than Dante, but even then, I don't think they resist his hacks. And we already said that we're putting Dante on Bayonetta's level, so that wouldn't really matter. With the protagonist swap, sometimes missions just get skipped. Obviously, a lot of these plot lines and missions will be skipped with Dante there because they're specifically tailored to Bayonetta. And yeah, I guess now Dante has successfully won. He just relaxes at the gates of hell until the events of Bayonetta 2 happens.
Actually, he wouldn't go to hell just yet. He'd just be chilling in the.
The gates of hell. That's what the bar is called.
Oh yeah, the gates of hell. I was like, well, the gates of hell are actually a thing in Bayo. I
Yes.
forgot that you were talking about Rodon's bar.
Yes, because Rodon decided to name his bar after, I guess, like the door to his house.
Well, to be fair,
No,
he does use it as a door to his house.
also regarding whether or not Dante would learn about Queen Sheba or anything or see her, no. Again, that only appears in the summon. He might learn about it from Rodon at some point, but he wouldn't really know about them up front. And then that would just be another discussion. That's gonna be another debate for Bayonetta 2. Rodon's gonna be like, the ruler of the demon world is Queen Sheba, and Dante's like, you're saying Mundus, Argosax, you're saying Mundus a little really weird there.
That's going to be a whole nother crackpot of nonsense.
Okay.
Well,
Rodon will
all
get
right.
around to.
I think we're.
All
I
right.
think we're done here.
All right, yeah. So with that said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys for your time as always. Have a nice day. I'll see you guys on next stream or video. Take care, everybody.